Let me ask you a question. Do you know which is the wealthiest city in our country? Not total GDP, I'm talking about per capita income. The answer is Chandigarh. It is home to affluent and frankly very posh residents. That's one reason why the city is considered amongst the safest in India. But merely 6 or 7 kilometers away from Chandigarh, the situation is very different. Let me tell you about a horrific incident that has happened in Mohali. On Tuesday night, a nurse in the city was returning home after work. She hailed an auto around 10 p.m. at night. Many women across this country do that. Many women in our office do that. As it turned out, there was another person in the auto along with the driver. Once the journey began, these men tried to molest the woman repeatedly. So eventually, she jumped out of the moving vehicle. She put her life on the line to escape these predators. She probably knew that if she jumps off a running auto, she could lose her life. Something very similar had happened last month in Aurangabad as well. A young girl jumped out of a moving auto to escape the driver's molestation attempt. What happened in Mohali is almost a rerun of the exact same incident. The only difference, one happened in broad daylight. In the case of Mohali, it happened at night. The nurse did complain to the police on the same night, and within 12 hours, both the accused have been arrested.
एक फीमेल 26 ईयर ओल्ड ਇਹਨੇ ਆਟੋ ਲਿੱਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ 6 ਫੇਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਲਾਈਟਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਘਰ ਜਾਣ ਲਈ ਤੇ ਰਸਤੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਸੀਟਾਂ ਤੇ ਬੈਠਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਹੀ ਸਟਾਰਟਡ ਮੋਲੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਹਰ ਤੇ देयर वाज अटेम्प्ट टू रेप ਆਲਸੋ ਤੇ ਬੜਾ ਬਰੇਵਲੀ ਇਹਨੇ ਫਾਈਟ ਬੈਕ ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਬਚਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਆਟੋ ਤੋਂ ਜੰਪ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਖਰੜ ਕੁਰਾਲੀ ਰੋਡ ਤੇ ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਨਸੀਡੈਂਟ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਹੋਇਆ ਅਕੋਰਡਿੰਗਲੀ ਫਿਰ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੱਸ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ FIR ਰਜਿਸਟਰ ਕਰਕੇ ਇਮੀਡੀਏਟਲੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਟੀਮਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਡਿਵਾਈਡ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ
As I said, this nurse probably knew that she could be killed if she jumps off the auto, and yet she had no choice. She had no choice. That was the only way she could save herself. Why are women in this country being put in a position like this in the first place? Karuna Nundy, you're an advocate of the Supreme Court. You're joining us. Nirmal Kaurji, you're a former IPS. You're joining us as well. Karuna, a lot of people will say that the auto should be one of the safer modes of transport in this country because it is open. It's not closed. It's not an Uber cab. It's an open transportation platform. And women should feel safer in this country taking autos. Yet, we've seen this happen in Aurangabad, and we are seeing this happen in Mohali, where even in an auto, a woman coming back from a hospital at night is not safe.
It's not about the auto, Ms. Dhoundial. The issue is about governance. The issue is about, do people think that, one, they can get away with it, and two, that they should do it. Kudos to the Mohali police, and it's very reassuring to see a woman making the statement, a woman police officer making the statement and making it with such clarity after the two accused have been arrested in such a short time. And that is something that the police across the country have to emulate, because this is an everyday incident. This is not something that this happens to have become a big thing in the news, and it happens to have become something that is widely reported. But what is it systemically that needs to be done, which no government is doing? It's not rocket science. What every state government and every central government needs to do together is that they need to look at the provisions to punish people like those you can see on your screen, how to do it in a fast way, how to arrest people, the correct people, and not just any random person, how to make the laws that protect women and penalize offenders effective. You do this by bringing everyone to the table, the police, the representatives of the judiciary, women's groups, actual women, people in the transport industry, and it's not about transport. Most violence happens at home, and all the stakeholders at the table and not just say that this is either a crime and home ministry issue or women's, social justice ministry issue, right? And then everyone needs to look at what is it that we need to do, what do we need to make it happen, and what kind of money do we need for it, if there is money that is required, and then place a finance bill, discuss synergies, and then place a finance bill. It is not rocket science. We see the money is there, the Nirbhaya Fund is there every year, the money is being appropriated. It is completely a failure of governance across the country, of every single state government, of every single central government. In addition, not just in schools, but also other behavior change programs need to be implemented so that it gets into the minds of these people that women are not there for these people to have fun with. Women are human beings, and no means something in this country. That there is a boundary that cannot be crossed. And that enough is enough.
Nirmal Kaurji, Karuna Nundy says, kudos to the Chandigarh police, to the Mohali police for arresting these two within 12 hours. Kudos indeed. But the fact is that in Aurangabad, the the auto driver who molested or tried to molest a minor was arrested as well. What happens after that?
Yes, what happens after
He's sent
that?
on
It's
bail
a
after
collective.
14 days.
I think it's a collective failure of the system. Madam Nundy spoke about fast track courts. Fast track courts already exist. It's a collective failure of the entire criminal justice system. Even where police is successful, like in this case or in Aurangabad case, this kind of, very horrific rape on wheels or molestation on wheels kind of a thing, which is becoming so common these days. In that Chawla rape case, which is very recent in all our memories, all of us will know it. It is about a month old. The Supreme Court set free all the accused. It was a horrific rape, much more brutal than the Nirbhaya rape case, Chawla rape case. And 7 years, fast track courts decided on trial court, and then admissibility of evidence was all well taken care of. The defense should have taken care of it at the trial court, and then the High Court upheld the decision, and Supreme Court suddenly barges in and says all of them are set free. They had only asked our life, they were going to be executed, that their life, it should be converted to life sentence. And they had only asked for that. And Supreme Court in its magnanimity set all of them free. Some vague interpretation they brought about of custody of, chain of custody of evidence. And if you see thoroughly, according to the law, the rules of chain of custody was unbroken when the evidence or the DNA reached. And at best, they could have asked for a retesting of the DNA because all the accused were there. DNA could have been matched again if they had all those doubts about them. Which, and this admissibility of evidence is not to be taken at the highest level, at this highest court of appeal. So what I'm saying is it is not only police, administration, and the local things that fail. Our entire criminal justice system is on trial. I think they have to be tried. How they are operating, why they are, despite the fact now these two accused are caught. I don't know what will be the fate of these two accused, but normally what happens
They're caught.
It is dragged so much. The case is dragged so much. And in this case, another thing which vitally is very, very noticeable is that the entire environment, we know environment is not too safe for women. If a girl is at 10 p.m. leaves her duty, the hospital, a lady, the hospital, or like, in many call centers or in many other places, BPOs and all I've seen, they have these arrangements to drop women home. So this woman, why should she be left to fend for herself at 10 p.m. in the night, in some vague, lonely roads of Mohali? You spoke of Chandigarh being a very small town, nice town, rich town, but it's also, in the evening, it's a very deserted town, especially Mohali area and all. On those deserted roads, she has to fend for herself, go to Kurali or wherever she lives. There should be some arrangement that women who are getting out late at night, they're
But
Karuna, taken care of.
Karuna, is that the solution?
No, that's not the solution.
That I take my own safety in my own hands, and that I expect my hospital or my office to ensure that I reach home safely. Arey bhai, this is my city as much as this is anyone else's city. This is my country as much as this is anyone else's country. I should be in a position to take an auto or a cycle rickshaw or whatever to get home.
Is, I think, at best an interim solution, while the state continues to fail colossally, that some sort of private arrangements, would help, and that the state needs to then maybe support or compensate or give something for it to the woman or to the private company or something. But at best, it can be an interim arrangement, because for these colossal failures of the state, women cannot suffer. If you don't work in the workforce participation rate in India has gone down from 35% in the 1990s to about 25% prior to COVID. In Delhi, that figure was 11%. 11%. And a lot of these women wanted to work, but it's the patriarchy that is preventing them from doing it, and the failures of the state. In such a situation where you have depriving women of livelihoods, of the power that comes with it, of the freedom, of the choice that comes with it, of the growth and personal fulfillment that sometimes comes with it, is a travesty. And this travesty is something that is being enabled by the state by failing to ensure that crimes against women go significantly down. At the moment, the state is doing a little bit. A little bit in the police, in the judiciary. And, it's not that what Nirmalji is saying is incorrect, that there is no patriarchy in the judiciary. Of course there is. These everyday cases that sometimes come up. So, for example, we have a conviction, a very robust conviction against one of the first cases of digital rape by finger from after the 2013 Act expanded the definition of rape from the Saket courts, that with about 500 pages. Very good judgment. The police was great. Everyone was great. When it came to the High Court, a stay was given on the first date with very, very thin order against that conviction. And because the perception, particularly in these kinds of cases, is that if the man is out, don't send him back in. Then the Supreme Court refused to interfere. So even in such a circumstance, I think that there are many situations in where one can say, many cases in which one can say that if you look at the precedent, and then there is no reason for these judgments. So what I'm saying is not that there is inefficiency and patriarchy only in the police. I think across the board, this is happening. And what we need now is demand action. And what we need is for the courts to demand accountability. And what we need is hacks through all of this.
But Nirmalji, I have 20 seconds, but we've been making this demand for the last 10 years. Tomorrow is 16th December.
Yes, things are changing, but
the day Nirbhaya happened.
And yes, it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years, and it's very pathetic, that women are still being molested so much. And, these reported cases are not even tip of the iceberg. There are many more cases happening. Not all of them get reported. I mean, it's a much larger, in reality, it's a much larger picture than we are able to see through the media. So it is a sad situation for girls and women, and to bring them out to the mainstream participation in the society, you have to give them the proper environment. Otherwise, they cannot fulfill their role in the society.
Okay. We'll leave it there for the moment. Karuna Nundy, Nirmal Kaur, thank you very much. Nirmalji, get a glass of water. I think your throat is troubling you. We'll leave it there for the moment. Karuna, thank you very much. Nirmal Kaur ji, thank you very much as well for joining us on the broadcast. Let me just